The time-traveling imposter who stole my identity lived lavishly as a princess while keeping me enslaved. When she became the most favored royal princess of the Rome dynasty, I was condemned to military brothels and died in torment. Now reborn during our childhood blood testing before the Empress. I heard her thoughts: if the water contains alum, any blood will mix. Even if she's the real princess, I'll take everything with simple tricks. As I strategized countermeasures, the Empress declared in restrained tones, "No test needed. She's my daughter." Chapter 1. Your Majesty, we've brought the girls, intoned the familiar, grating voice of Eunuch Lu. I blinked awake, meeting the Empress's piercing gaze. At barely 20, her regal composure remained unshaken. I immediately lowered my eyes, trembling with suppressed exhilaration. I'd returned to my 8-year-old self, the fateful day when Emily and I were presented for royal blood verification. Last life. I'd cowered while Olivia, the imposter, charmed the court. Without testing, everyone assumed I was the servant. The cruel twist came during the blood ritual. My genuine royal blood refused to blend with the Emperor's, while Olivia's doctored sample secured her princesshood. Only at death's door did she sneer, "You primitive fools could never outwit a time traveler." Now hearing Olivia's internal monologue again, alum and water, easy victory, I realized I could eavesdrop on her schemes. Before I could react, the Empress shocked everyone by proclaiming, "This child needs no verification." Even Olivia froze mid-curtsy. What? The old hag skipping the test? Must force the blood ritual. Her panicked thoughts confirmed my new advantage. Eunuch Lu protested. "Your Majesty, protocol demands." Silence. The Empress's voice cracked like ice. Would I mistake my own flesh? The matter's settled. Olivia threw herself prostrate. Wise Empress. Verification ensures no future disputes. This humble girl implores. The Empress studied Olivia with glacial detachment. I remembered too well, last lifetime. Olivia's poetic genius and political cunning made her emperor's darling. Now, watching her desperate performance, I concealed my smile. The stage was reset. This time, knowledge and stolen thoughts would be my weapons. At the time, I didn't understand. But looking back now, how much wisdom could an 8-year-old girl truly possess? No matter how clever. Yet if that child's body housed the soul of a grown woman from another world, everything fell into place. And if I still refuse? I knew Emily would devise another scheme if denied. She wasn't wrong, even if the Empress acknowledged me as her daughter. The court might reject my claim. So I knelt without hesitation. "I beg your Majesty to permit a blood test." The Empress clenched her fists, silent for a moment before nodding. "Very well." Emily and I were escorted to the grand hall. Last time, this ritual had unfolded before the entire court. Now history repeated. Eunuch Smith presented 2 bowls of water. A young eunuch pricked the Emperor's finger, letting a drop fall into each vessel. As Emily stepped forward, I bit my own finger and dripped blood into her designated bowl. She froze, then blurted, "What are you doing?" "That was mine." I stood motionless, noting the Emperor's faint frown. The crowd erupted as the blood merged. It blended. I knew her noble bearing marked true royalty. Only a princess carries such grace. I stifled a scoff. Hypocrites. They'd sung identical praises for Emily in our past life. Calmly, I turned to her. "Your turn." Emily's hand trembled as the eunuch pierced her skin. The droplets refused to unite. She crumpled, tears spilling as she knelt with the courtiers. "Congratulations on reclaiming the princess, Your Majesty." But her thoughts screamed, "Just wait. Royalty or not, I'll crush you." That night, the Empress clung to me, weeping. "Forgive me, Sophia. I'll protect you now." I knew she'd also been reborn. In our previous life, Emily had intercepted my dismissal from court, pleading with wide eyes, "Mother, let her stay. She's my only friend." Friend? More like a punching bag, her personal servant. Beaten and humiliated. This time, the Dowager Empress intervened, bringing Emily to our chambers. She shares Sophia's birthdate. Let her remain as a companion. I didn't need mind reading to grasp Emily's plan: linger near the throne. Steal what was mine. A girl who'd bribed eunuchs to tamper with blood tests. Dangerous. The Empress objected. Sophia lacks courtly refinement. Keeping this rustic girl would hinder her. I curtsied. Mother's wisdom guides me. Yet grandmother's suggestion holds merit. I'll accept her. Emily stayed. Better to monitor the viper than let her strike unseen. Let her scheme, I'd be ready. This time, it's you who came to me. Emily, just like in Emily's previous life. Only now it was me keeping her as a palace maid. She probably thought I was just a dim-witted 8-year-old. After the Empress left, Emily stopped pretending. Her eyes filled with contempt whenever she looked at me. I played the fool, maintaining my childish innocence in every word and action. Until the day Emily finally made her move. Returning from swinging, I complained of thirst and ordered tea. As a maid approached with the cup, I heard Emily's scheming voice: if I trip the maid to spill tea on this idiot, then convince her to punish them harshly. Everyone will believe this foundling princess is truly tyrannical. Let's see how long the queen keeps loving this rude brat. Before I could react, Emily stuck out her foot. The maid crashed before me, drenching my dress in hot tea. Emily immediately pounced. How dare you? Are you blind? Spilling tea on Her Highness deliberately? She turned to me with feigned concern. Your Highness, this wretch must be severely punished to set an example. The terrified maid kowtowed desperately. I swear it was an accident. Mercy, Your Highness. Wiping tea stains. I blinked innocently. She fell and got hurt. Why punish her? Fetch new tea. That's all. The maid stared in disbelief before tearfully thanking me. Emily persisted. You must execute her. Common-born royals need to show strength, or these servants will walk all over you. I tilted my head, but father rules through benevolence. Shouldn't I follow his example? Though if I need to make an example, my smile chilled. Shouldn't I start with you? Emily paled. I giggled. Now my throat's parched. Killing her now would be too merciful. After this defeat, Emily stayed quiet. Meanwhile, I sought out Ethan, the frail prince from Dahlia held hostage in our court. In a crumbling courtyard, I found guards beating the thin boy. Though overpowered, Ethan kept struggling. They piled on him, forcing rancid scraps into his mouth. When he clenched bloodied teeth shut, they pried with sticks. My chest tightened. Stop! I shouted. Who permits this? In my past life, Ethan survived these torments. When Emily forced me to clean chamber pots, he'd help scrub. When others bullied me, he'd shield me despite brutal retaliation. Don't worry. He'd smile through split lips. I'm tough. I'll always protect you. Sophia. Maybe he remembered how I'd once given him bread during a beating. But fate showed no mercy. Jealous Emily framed him for assault. Though my father couldn't execute a foreign prince, his own family disowned him. After his mother made him apologize to Emily, he jumped from a tower, leaving a bloody farewell. Emily had dragged me by the hair to his corpse, sneering, so what if I lied? His own mother thought him guilty. Look at his empty eyes, this is your fault. By the way, do you know what the final straw that crushed him was? It was when I told him I'd hired someone to forge your handwriting and accuse him of being despicable. That's why he died in utter despair. Pathetic. Really. The image of that bloodless face with hollow eyes overlapped with the pale features of the youth before me. I rushed forward and desperately pulled him into my embrace. Ethan. Ethan, this time. I wouldn't let tragedy repeat itself. I brought Ethan to my palace chambers to recuperate. The teenage boy was frighteningly emaciated. His body concealed beneath ornate robes that had countless scars, whip marks, burns, and wounds from sharp implements. He remained unconscious for 3 full days before finally awakening, his eyes immediately hardening with wariness at the sight of me. When his gaze fell upon my luxurious silken garments, barely suppressed revulsion flashed across his youthful features. Have you nobles of the Grand Glory dynasty abandoned all pretense of subtlety now? His lips trembled slightly despite his defiant words. Just kill me and be done with it. I gently embraced him. No. I only want to protect you. Surprisingly, my perpetually busy father the Emperor learned of Ethan's presence in my quarters almost immediately. When Palace maid Emily delivered news of father's impending visit, she appeared more panicked than I. Falling to her knees before me, she pleaded, "Your Highness, His Majesty has always despised this foreign prince. If he discovers you've sheltered the boy here, had this been my past life, I might have succumbed to her feigned concern. But now I recognized her scheme. No matter where I hid Ethan, she'd eventually reluctantly reveal his location." My paranoid father valued apparent transparency above all, a weakness Emily had exploited in my previous existence to become his favorite. I glared down at her. Why is this lowly servant so agitated? Our guest is a prince. What concern is it if I host him here? My voice carried through the chamber. Our great nation's wise ruler would never begrudge such hospitality. Father's booming laughter echoed from the doorway. Well spoken. As expected of my daughter. Your words and thoughts mirror my own. As the entire room prostrated themselves, I caught Emily's furious mutter, "Damn. How is this seemingly clueless little bitch so clever?" Seizing the opportunity during father's questioning, I presented careful arguments that showing kindness to the prince of our weaker neighbor state, Li, served our political interests. My final whispered words clinched his decision. When you eventually unite both kingdoms under your benevolent rule, Father, all will see that even former enemies become cherished subjects under your reign. The Emperor's subsequent rewards included assigning Ethan chambers adjacent to mine and executing several eunuchs who'd previously tormented him. Overnight, Ethan's treatment throughout the palace transformed. Though Mother Empress remained anxious, particularly regarding Emily's scheming, I eased her worries by requesting Grace, a skilled warrior maid near my age, as my new attendant. In my past life, reduced to lowly servant status by Emily's machinations, I'd never received proper education. Only through Ethan's patient tutoring had I learned that history illuminates wisdom, and understanding the past shapes the future. Now embracing my royal education, I requested Ethan join my lessons with renowned scholars, a decision that sent Emily scrambling to dissuade me with feigned concern. Your Highness, studying is so exhausting. You're a princess. If you don't wish to learn these things, you shouldn't have to. You've suffered enough in the common world. Now that you're in the palace, you should enjoy life. I've never heard of anyone needing literacy to qualify as royalty. Just look at His Majesty. He needs wise advisors to assist him, not to become one himself. I had to admit, Emily's twisted logic sounded almost convincing. But I knew her game. Days earlier, she deliberately staged a scene of studying where father would pass by, earning his praise. Now she aimed to lure me into slacking off so I'd lose his favor. Outrageous! I snapped. What nonsense are you spouting? Wise advisors exist precisely because His Majesty himself is learned and brilliant enough to command respect as a great ruler. Yet here you are, my personal maid, not only failing to encourage my studies but actively pushing me toward complacency? What's your true motive? I glimpsed golden robes at the doorway. Perfect, my trap for Emily was springing. Father stormed in, backhanding her across the room. You vile wretch! I placed you here to guide my daughter, not corrupt her, he roared. Were it not for Sophia's wisdom, you'd have turned her into a wastrel. The Empress was right, you're nothing but a viper. Drawing a guard's sword, he pressed the blade to Emily's throat. She trembled, blood dripping from her mouth. Father! Mercy! I knelt dramatically. Though Emily has erred, she's my only companion. If her tongue causes trouble, I paused meaningfully. Let it be removed. Send her to tend the royal tombs, sparing her wretched life. Emily's shock curdled into fury. She crawled toward father, babbling pleas until guards dragged her away. She's not the real princess. She shrieked hysterically. I'm the chosen one. The protagonist destined to, her screams cut off as they yanked her through the gates. Outside, Emily glared at me with bloodied hatred, mentally cursing me with every vulgarity imaginable. As eunuchs hauled her toward exile, I caught her venomous thought, Sophia Miller. Fate brought me here to crush you feudal savages. You'll pay 1,000-fold. I smiled faintly. Oh, Emily. Do survive. Endure the cold tombs, the starvation, the servants' abuse. My own past suffering was your blueprint. Your torment has only begun. In the following years, Ethan and I studied under great scholars. His brilliance charmed both tutors and father. Between lessons, I refined the notes compiled from Emily's stolen thoughts, soap recipes, glass-making, banking systems, all the tricks she'd used in her past life to build empires and armies for overthrowing the crown. Now, I'd wield them to protect what I loved. I entrusted Grace to manage these ventures discreetly. Though preparing for war, I prayed peace would hold. 8 winters passed. Occasionally, I visited the toneless Emily, now broken and scavenging scraps. Each visit coaxed more otherworldly knowledge from her. And as intended, I became the realm's most revered princess, cherished, respected, and ever watchful. As for Ethan, he became the most talented prince. The emperor adored him even more, but the worry between his brows grew deeper. Recognizing my father's concern, I quietly approached and massaged his temples. Are you thinking about Ethan's situation? The emperor glanced at me and sighed. Though he's lived here for years and won my favor, you know he's not truly my son despite my affection. I giggled, wrapping my arms around his neck. If you're so fond of him, why not let him stay here forever? Forever? His gaze turned peculiar. I understood his hesitation. My parents shared an unshakable bond, and my childhood disappearance had left my mother frail from heartache. For her health, they'd only ever had me their sole heir. This was partly why Emily had later coveted the throne in our previous lives. Ethan may be a prince of Daligua, I reasoned, but his parents never cared for him. Wouldn't he prefer staying here in comfort? Besides, I added slyly, every exceptional steed needs its discerning master. With you as his patron, what more could he desire? I withheld the darker truths I'd learned in my past life, that Ethan's birth resulted from a drunken emperor's dalliance with a maid who was executed postpartum. The concubine who raised him did so with resentment, and his father had eagerly sacrificed him as political pawn, intending to later use his death as war pretext. The crown prince designation was mere propaganda. Fatherly love can't be faked. I pressed. No true parent would trade their child for peace or abandon them for years. The emperor pondered this. Ethan had arrived as a 5-year-old and innocent, charming child whose circumstances clearly hid shadows. Soon, imperial investigators uncovered the truth, aided by my discreet guidance. That night, we convened in the royal study. As investigators laid bare the facts before Ethan, the emperor offered, choose return to claim Daligua, or swear eternal loyalty to Darren. I watched his knuckles whiten against his robes. Finally, he kowtowed fiercely. I, Ethan, swear lifelong allegiance to Darren. May lightning strike me if I break this vow. Those escaping hell rarely return. Later, I teased him, no regrets binding yourself here? None. The typically aloof prince flushed crimson. Sophia. I stay not from cowardice, but because leaving you is unthinkable. You speak of protecting me, shouldn't I protect you too? My smile confirmed I'd chosen right. Soon, Grace brought news. Emily had escaped the royal mausoleum. In our past life, this pretender had claimed to be a time-traveling Daligua princess. Fabricating her royal mark after learning of my disappearance, their stolen princess plot gone awry. With no male heir, she'd aimed for empresshood. Now thwarted and imprisoned, she'd finally managed contact with Daligua operatives. Just as you predicted, Princess, Grace reported. She sought merchants with ancestral recipes or outdated formulas. They drove her out. Now she wanders Rome City homeless. I nodded, signaling Grace to keep monitoring Emily's every move. Soon, I received new updates. In her desperation, Emily had adopted the alias Miss Lotus and claimed to have strategies for the Emperor. My father had always valued talent regardless of background, readily granting audiences to capable commoners. This time, he summoned the disguised Emily as well, with court officials lining the hall. The Emperor watched expectantly as Emily presented poetry collections and political treatises. After reviewing them, he questioned, "Are you certain these works are original?" Unable to speak, Emily nodded fervently. Unexpectedly, the Emperor erupted in fury, tossing the materials to a eunuch for distribution among the ministers. The officials exchanged uneasy glances. These poems were already widely known among the populace. Emily received 20 lashes and permanent banishment from court. Though Grace marveled at my foresight and Emily's foolishness, she remained unaware this was all my orchestration. In our previous life, Emily had gained public admiration through stolen poetry. This time, proximity allowed me to hear her mental chatter revealing the truth, every verse plagiarized from historical masters. The political essays were appropriated from other well-known scholars. Before her exile to guard royal tombs, I'd already secured proper authorship records in the National Archives. Months later in Rome City, I encountered a ragged figure huddled in alley filth, Emily. Upon recognizing me, she clawed upright, frantically gesturing, "Are you a transmigrator too?" I pretended incomprehension, denying her answers. Stripped of status by the Dali Emperor, she watched me leave before lunging at Grace with a hidden dagger. Grace effortlessly incapacitated her with a palm strike. Even bleeding out, Emily kept signing, "It's you. You invented soap and glass. You sabotaged me." I'd anticipated her violent desperation. She'd previously sent multiple assassins after Grace, never realizing neither of us shared her otherworldly origins. As my carriage departed, beggars dragged Emily away. She wouldn't survive the night. At her deathbed in a stinking hayloft, her suppurating body barely human, those swollen eyes bored into me, screaming internally, "Why me? It should have been you. What did I do wrong?" Leaning close, I whispered every manipulation into her ear, ending with, "Because I'm the vengeful ghost you murdered last lifetime." Her final breath left bloody froth on cracked lips, poetic justice learned from her own past cruelty. With Emily gone, our reformed commerce and craftsmanship ushered unprecedented prosperity. When Dolly's emperor fell ill, Ethan advised capitalizing on the prince's fratricidal war. Within 3 months, we annexed their crippled nation. At the victory celebration, flushed with wine, the emperor asked Ethan's reward request. The former Dolly noble drained his cup, crimson-eyed gaze finding me before kneeling, "Your Majesty, I humbly seek Sophia's hand in marriage." The court froze, none expected a Dolly remnant to dare this. But I'd long recognized the fire in those midnight strategizing sessions. The unspoken tension during state banquets. Let them whisper about political implications. I stepped forward, answering before my father could. My rebirth wasn't for empire building alone. My father, the emperor, burst into laughter and waved his hand. "Approved. That same August, Ethan became my royal consort. He was still young, barely 20, maintaining his usual regal composure. He said, "Sophia, I had a nightmare where I was framed. Yet you refused to believe me. No, it wasn't that you wouldn't believe me, but that you remained completely unaware. Sophia, you must trust that I'd never betray you. No matter what. Sophia, I'll keep every promise I made to you." For this lifetime, during the decade when the great Rome dynasty unified the realm, prosperity reigned. My father claimed declining health to abdicate with my mother, passing the throne to me. Thus I became empress, while Ethan became the dynasty's first male royal consort.